Michael, to the point you were making, I have long said on this show that the Obama administration is making a critical mistake by not confronting that issue head on. If I'm Vice President Joe Biden, if I'm President Obama, I know Kentucky is in a swing state. I know Mississippi and Alabama, they're not swing states. But I do believe that you want to show a contrast. You go to the poorest people with the least education, with the least health care, and you stand before them and you say, ask me a question. Who is fighting for better health care for you, for better education, for more jobs? Is it me or is it Mitt Romney? Now, I understand that they might say we're still going to vote GOP. But I believe when you force that conversation, you then have an income inequality discussion that you want to have, and you're having a discussion that's more on your turf, and you're making them defend their actions compared to what you want to do.
No, I think you're right, but I think what you've seen the president do over these many months is muddy the discussion just a little bit. You know, he'll say, well, you know, the federal budget's a little bit like a household budget. You know, we have to live within our means. And you know he doesn't believe that. He knows that it's a lot different. But I think his political people tell him that's what people want to hear. So I think that, in a way, muddies the message.
Hold up. So the Democratic president, if we're going to do Democrats and Republicans, the Democratic presidents get away or without having this discussion that we all know is worthy of discussion.
Which discussion?
This discussion about poverty and equality.
I've been saying from day one that Democrats and Republicans need to have this conversation.
We're at the 3.5-year mark now.
But he's been talking about income inequality.
No, he's talking about inequality.
He's not been talking about that.
Policies on but shouldn't they have been in law and being enforced by now?
Okay,
he's only been blocked by the
President 3.5 years.
He's only been blocked by the Congress to try to move these things forward. He tried to do the infrastructure program, blocked by Congress.
Senator,
the truth of the matter is these Republican governors in these states are thwarting the economic turnaround.
That's not the way it works.
It absolutely is.
Actually, I will say, Deborah, it wasn't. One second.
The legislatures and Congress are the ones who implement laws, and it's up to the president or the governor.
Right, but what happened? But with the stimulus bill,
is that right?
But with the stimulus bill, we saw it in Louisiana, in South Carolina, in Texas. We saw governors, because the mistake the president made was that they sent the money to the states via the governors, when the mayors were saying, "Send it to us," because we know how the governors are going to respond.
That's right.
That's a fact.
Poverty is everywhere in this country. It's not just in those states. Those states stand out. There's no doubt about that. I understand that. But my point is, poverty has nothing to do with who your governor is at the time.
Absolutely it does.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
If you live in Wisconsin, it sure does, and you've got a governor who is busting the unions, who is passing anti-woman, anti-immigration, who is also saying, you know what, women don't need equal pay. Forget that.
No,
absolutely it does. But I want to make a point. But
it doesn't.
Raising tuitions in colleges.
One second. Senator Hughes, you dealt with appropriations in Pennsylvania. Speak to this.
Because that makes it sound like
1 second,
Republican governor now, Democratic governor now. Come on, man.
Let's look at the facts. In Pennsylvania, swing state, Governor Corbett offers a budget that cuts out human service programs for women. All right, support services program for disabled people, raises tuitions for college-going students, probably about another 8%, cuts out $1 billion in education spending, and so consequently, classroom sizes are growing, tuitions are going up, schools are crumbling, cities are crumbling, and he is fundamentally tied to Romney. Romney, the message to the American people, and you're right, Roland, the message to the American people is who's going to take care of you in this time of difficulty. Is it Mitt Romney, who is part of the class of folks who caused this problem? He's the only one who's made out with the Wall Street crew, the only one that's made out in this process, or is it President Obama, who's tried to steer a course to try to recover the economy?
Hannah, hold
That's
tight
the
one
deal.
second. Hold tight, because I want the panel to weigh in on this week's. Now, look, all politicians lie to some degree, but there is a developing narrative driven by some liberal commentators that Mitt Romney seems to lie a lot. Richard Cohen wrote this about Romney in the Washington Post this week. What his career has given him is the businessman's concept of self, that what he does is not who he is. Business is business. It's what you do. It is not who you are. Lying isn't a sin, it's a business plan. And here's Rachel Maddow on MSNBC last month.
This is not a normal amount of politician lying. Mr. Romney lies about himself. He lies about the president. He lies about policy. He lies about everything.
Which brings us to this statement that Governor Romney and his surrogates have been repeating over and over again.
These are just some statistics which show just how severe the war on women has been by virtue of the president's failed policies. The number of jobs, this is an amazing statistic, the percentage of jobs lost by women in the president's 3.5 years, 92.3% of all the jobs lost during the Obama years have been lost by women.
An Associated Press fact check called that statement dubious at best. According to the nonpartisan factcheck.org, Diana Furtgott-Roth, a chief economist at the U.S. Department of Labor under President George W. Bush, says she couldn't think of any Obama policies that have led to a slower recovery for women. Obama's policies have been anti-growth, she said, but if anything, they have been anti-male jobs. So Mitt Romney, the self-proclaimed expert on the economy, who keeps repeating this lie, labeled dubious by the AP and mostly false by PolitiFact.org, you are the winner of this week's. Now to our panel. If you have Mitt Romney making these kind of comments, and then he has to deal with the flip-flop back and forth, does he face a problem of being labeled as someone who is not telling the truth, and what impact could that have in the minds of voters when it comes to the issue of trust?
Just play the comments of Gingrich, Santorum with the Etch-a-Sketch comment. I wish I could have come up with that one. Ron Paul, all of them. They have set up the narrative that Mitt Romney is not someone who is trustworthy.
I think Mitt Romney has done a better job than anybody. I mean, play the comments of him saying, I'm going to protect a woman's right to choose. We're going to do, I'm going to go the other way. Like, I mean, time and time again, footage keeps coming up of him saying one thing and then this campaign saying another thing. And let voters decide for themselves. Poll after poll shows they don't trust him.
Deborah, first of all, Mitch Daniels made this comment. He's the governor of Indiana. He said, quote, you have to campaign to govern, not just to win. Spending the precious time and dollars explaining a constructive program to make life better. Look at everything through the lens of folks who have yet to achieve. Romney doesn't talk that way. That's going to be an issue for him if a Mitch Daniels, a supporter, is saying,
yeah. And it's always been an issue for him. We know for 5 years ago, even when he was running for Massachusetts governor, he tried to turn him into a Clinton-like candidate by being sort of moderate, and he indeed became a moderate Republican when he won the Massachusetts State House. So there's no doubt that he is trying to position himself. Look, Mitt Romney does not have the charisma, personality, je ne sais quoi, whatever it is we want to put on it, that he has what?
He don't have the policies.
Well, forget about policies.
15 seconds, Deborah. 15 seconds. Go ahead.
I say forget about policies only because he has not won the race yet. But we can look at his Massachusetts policies, if you will, and find out where he stands on a lot of
Michael,
issues.
final comment.
Well, I think Romney's rhetoric is at war with his biography. I mean, he was a moderate governor in many ways. Now he wants to be the most conservative guy. And he's...
Extreme.
Right. He's the most extreme conservative in the room. And it's, like you said, I think people can't trust that. How could you trust that?
Trust is what it's all about. We certainly appreciate it. Karen, Michael, Deborah, and Senator, we appreciate it.
Don't lie, brother. All politicians don't lie.
Some do stretch the truth a little bit, though. All right, then. Up next.